Hello, welcome back to
Hello,
Two
two
Girls,
girls,
One
one
Mic
mic podcast.
podcast. Yes, welcome back, welcome back.
Yes, we have an amazing topic today. We asked questions. Do you have the questions, Mariela, or not? Ah,
I can definitely look them up now as we are talking about
okay,
it.
okay. But
Oh,
I want to
well,
start with because a lot of people reacted private, but that's okay.
yes,
And what I noticed was that there's a lot of women who, on the one hand, yes, they chose to not have children right now, at least.
because that is the topic. We did not introduce the topic.
Sorry, yes, conscious choice to not have children.
Yes,
But what
exactly.
I
And
found in the things that the reactions that I got, I also sensed a little like because they were not in the right relationships, because they are not in a relationship, and the woman who I spoke to at least said they don't want to do it alone. So it was more, yeah, I don't like to say necessity, but I think you know what you understand what I'm saying if I say that. So because they felt like they are not in a stable or current or loving relationship, they felt like they made the conscious choice not to have children.
right, which is a very legitimate reason. And I mean,
And hey,
and the question is, do we really need a legitimate reason? And what is a legitimate reason? Because that's what I encountered when I was researching this topic. So the topic is I don't want to have children. The decision, I don't want to have children. And the questions that we had were, is this a conscious decision, like not a conscious, is this a decision that you made not to have children, or do you know anybody who says, I don't want to have children? The other question, do you think that a relatively young woman has the right, or person actually, has the right to sterilize? And is that regardless of the age, or do you think from a certain age on? And what age is that then? Another question, do you think that to say, I don't want to have children, is a taboo? And the last question was, how would you feel if your son or your daughter made a decision not to have children? Interesting question.
Let me start with that one.
Yes.
I have children.
Yes.
And I also asked them, and my daughter said, well, right now she's not in a relationship, and she is not sure if she wants them. So for now, she's saying no. And she gets a lot of slack, you can say. Because people say, yeah, but you don't know, you're still young. And I said, yeah, but I just told you. I said no. And people want to force something on her. Like, and I think it's still society appropriate to have children. And it's
Absolutely.
less accepted if you truly, consciously, and just from your gut saying, I just don't want them.
Exactly. And I found this interesting. So I went online and did a little bit of research, and just to see what comes up, even if I Google, I don't want to have children, and I Googled it in English and in Dutch, just to see if there are any differences. And actually, there were quite a lot of similarities between articles, blog posts that came up, or discussions on social media. And one of the things that, so the first thing that I noticed is this is an important topic. This is coming up more and more, right? Because, for example, when I was younger and I was reading magazines, I mean, yes, I am from the time before internet, so there were magazines. There were not a lot of articles, there was not a lot of discussion about it. People didn't really talk about it. So it was really a taboo. You don't talk about it, but because I'm sure there were thousands, millions of people, women, who decided, no, I don't want to have children, but we didn't talk about it. But now, so that's the first thing. I noticed there's a lot of talk about it. Another thing that I read, that from research shows that especially the millennials, so that's your daughter and your son, there seems to be a trend. There seems to be more and more millennials who, for various reasons, decide not to have children. So on the one hand, I researched and looked into their stories and how they experience the backlash, the comments, and just plain discrimination, and also research the reasons why, which is also interesting, I think.
And what did you find?
Well, a lot of they're facing a lot of discrimination, rude questions, disrespect, misunderstanding, or not really misunderstanding, just very rude questions, and just dismissive, and you're too young, you don't know. Like, for example, the things that been said to them, and I quote a few that I've found online. What a bad decision. Or things that have been said to them, right? Oh, you think you're tired? You don't know what tired is. You're being selfish. You'll change your mind once you meet the right man. You're missing out on one of the best things in life. You better hurry up and give your husband a child before he finds someone who will.
Oh my God.
You don't have children, so you don't understand. Who will take care of you when you get old? You're missing out. Yeah, you're missing it. So those are just a few things, you know. Wow. And I just thought that's just incredible. I also, yes, I listened to, and this one is for those of you who have asked these questions, who've said these things to women or men. Take a moment to think about this, right? And because even though I am very aware, I have friends who have who decided not to have children for various reasons, and I've never been the kind of person to say these kinds of stupid things, because I think it is having children is being romanticized too much, right? And I really don't care. Live and let live, whatever you want. But it's just amazing to me the kind of questions or that they get asked.
Remarks people make.
Yes, and if there is one TEDx talk, it's from Kristen Reichter at REIGTER, which I mean, she sums it up, right? And this is getting really also a big problem, or this is a big problem for women who want to get their tubes tied. Yeah. She tells about her experience, and it is just incredible how difficult it was for her to get this procedure done. They flat out refused her. They all have different rules that you have to be this age, you have to be that age, and even if she applied all the rules, even if she, really could try to control herself and really state her case and the reasons why, they still would not allow her to have this procedure done. And I think this is just amazing. She cannot have control over her own body. It is the same as, for example, with abortions or stuff like that. But there's not even a life that we have to debate about, right. And still she has so very condescending. Yes, I was just amazed when I listened to her, and it's just one of those things that I thought, I never thought about that. I just assumed that if I'm sure that this is not a small operation and it's permanent, but. So you have to be careful. But if a woman an adult woman comes to a doctor and I think he has a right to ask questions and find out,
And you have to tell her the consequences and the options.
yes,
This is gonna happen when,
yes,
right?
and
So
then
that she's fully
yes,
informed about what is going to happen after. For sure,
E-
I believe that the
exactly.
doctor has to do that. But
Yes.
then,
But then, so this all happened, and she was very clear. She thought about it. She researched. She knows all the options. She's very sure. She's explaining to the doctor why. But still, I mean, she had to go from one doctor to another, to another, to another, to another, to finally get it done. And she also talked about this, and I didn't even know that this existed. Medical paternalism, which allows a doctor, as a well-informed provider, to make decisions for the patient. So even though she complies with all the rules and she's very clear, she's sound of mind, she's an adult, still it doesn't really matter because still he can,
for you.
regardless, he can decide, I'm not going to do it.
Wow. Wow, I'm flabbergasted.
Me too. Me too.
Ooh, but then comes the thing, and we're going to talk about it in another topic, but this is also equality. This is a theme of equality. Because if a man says, I want to be sterilized, and they're going to help him this afternoon, no question.
Yes, absolutely.
So what is that? What is it?
This is so, and also, I mean, she made a powerful statement about that too. So that means that if we deny a woman this procedure, for example, you're basically saying your purpose as a human being is to reproduce. That's your purpose. So if a woman, that means that if a woman decides not to have children, you're saying that I have no purpose? Think about this. As a society, we have to think about this.
That's an old school model. And back in the days, it may have worked. I don't know, I didn't live there, but it may have worked. But now we moved on. So we need different rules, we need different opinions, and we need more freedom, I would say.
Absolutely, and more equality, because you are so right. With men, it's not an issue. At least I haven't encountered when I did my research. Never heard from a man. Although I do believe that men also do get, comments like, "You don't know what you're talking about." Blah blah blah.
Know, what if you divorce and then the next relation wants a child? La 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 la. Of course, that's the same story as for a woman.
Yes.
Changes.
But so for a woman, it's just.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So women,
it's still happening today. And I was just, I read a lot of stories about not being able to get the procedure done in the States. I'm wondering, I didn't find any information in Holland, but I'm wondering what would it be like in a country like Holland or here in Curacao?
Well, I had an operation going on, and I'm not sure how many years ago, but I had my twins already. And the belly was open. So I said, take it all out. I don't need it anymore. And the doctor said, no.
Really?
Yeah, he said, yeah, but you never know. I said, I have twins. I'm done. I know I'm done. Take it all out. I don't want the stuff anymore. He said, no, but then you go in menopause very early, because I think about 30 something, 35 maybe. And he said, yeah, but it's too young. And I told him over and over. I said, no, but take it out. It didn't happen.
Well, isn't that just ridiculous?
It didn't happen.
You cannot decide. Oh my God, I can't even believe it. Because, I mean, you even had 2 children. I mean, that argument.
Already? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just incredible.
Yeah, no, it is true.
I just want to, I feel like I want to talk to a doctor right now and ask him, so what happens if a woman comes to you? What do you do? What are the rules? What are your experiences? I want to know, because I'm just outraged.
That we cannot do it ourselves.
No.
So, if he says no, who am I? I cannot say, rip the thing out. I cannot do that. So I have to oblige.
Exactly.
And do I want to make a whole case of it? It's gonna cost me money.
Yeah, that's what I
make my
read.
own decisions about my own body.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
but
yes.
why, as a society, do we think that children are, I don't know, the answer?
Exactly.
Some
The
kind of
whole the
fulfillment.
whole purpose, the
Yes. And of
ideal.
course, and I love children. I mean,
Me too.
very, very much so. But I can also very good understand if you don't want them.
Yeah,
And hey,
me too.
are you then lesser of a human being? No. And this is also, I think, an equality thing, because what happens when a man says, I don't want children, and what happens when a woman says, I don't want children? Do we treat them the same?
No, I don't think we treat them the same.
I don't think so either.
Absolutely not.
No.
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 And I think so we need to educate ourselves and be more aware. One of the things that I did think about was I am a person, as you all know, I love to ask questions. I love to hear people's stories. So when I get to know somebody, I ask questions, and this could be maybe a question that I asked, but I definitely really, I'm sorry if you're listening now and you're thinking, yeah, you asked me that. I hope I didn't then give you the idea that because you didn't have children, yeah, that no, I'm just
But I
interested.
also
I'm just
ask.
interested in,
If I don't
yeah.
have children, and I always ask, is that a conscious choice or is it a mental choice?
Yes. Well, and yes, and it is because it is a tough question to ask. I read in one of the interviews that this woman, and she was in her 30s, she found that question very, very rude. Yeah, so she got really upset when people asked them, and of course, you know, especially she's in her 30s, people are going to start then asking her, so what about kids? Do you want to have kids? And she found that very rude and disrespectful, and it got her really, really pissed off. And I thought, yeah, that's good that I read this, because we need to be aware of that, right? If you know somebody,
Yeah, but
a
it is
colleague,
just a
a friend,
question. You can be offended or angry about it, but that's
yeah,
mostly your frustration.
but I
It
think
depends
it's
on how the question is asked, I believe,
absolutely yes,
and
yes,
how interested the person is, and not like, why don't you have children? But more of,
yes.
I'm curious.
Well, and I'm guessing she got a lot of kind of like questions from people who say, "What are you waiting for?
Right, or think there's
Why
something
don't you have
wrong with
children?"
you, or-
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I was just trying to put myself in her shoes. I mean, this is something that she is frustrated about, not not her decision, but how people respond. And she's, you know, so this is what happens. Like, for example, if I have experienced a lot of discrimination or racism, I'm going to be sensitive about this. I'm going to maybe be very defensive about this. When, you know, I've noticed that with people, and I can imagine that if you constantly have to defend yourself or explain yourself, or if you constantly get responses like, well, that's a bad decision, you don't know what you're missing out on, then yes, I can understand her saying that question is really personal question, and it's disrespectful to even ask me that. So I do understand that, but I think that also a lot of people don't even think about how offensive it can be to say something like, oh, you don't know yet, wait until you have children. You know, sometimes we say this kind of playfully or like a joke, but you never know.
But for us, and I don't mean us, but the world, it is a normal thing. So we think as a society that if you don't have, indeed, you are somewhat missing out on something. Or I would say, maybe feel even a little jealousy that you did make the choice to choose for yourself and for your body or for your whoever.
Right, that is an interesting one.
Because there's a lot of, and that's what my daughter also said. She said, Mom, I think they're first children, for a lot of people it's also pride, because you carry the name, then you're what somebody said, like who's gonna take care of you later on. But is that the reason why you have children?
That's selfish.
Yes, very much so. I don't even think that. And the other thing is, like, what if, no, there are a lot of people who have children who shouldn't have children. We all know who they are.
Yes.
We all know who they are. So
Yes.
it is not a definite rule that children, that we as adults can take care of children and have
Absolutely.
really a very good influence on the children. My brother always said he never wanted children. Never, never, never. He said, the world is messed up. I don't believe in people anymore. There's a lot of hurt and pain and abuse and going on. And I don't want to put a kid out there. That's what he said for a very long time. But then he met a girl and now he's a father of two. So you never know, but the reasons behind it, I also find very interesting. Why?
The reason why?
Well,
Well,
why not?
So I wrote down
the same from why do you want? I mean, for me, it's the same
Yes.
question. Why do
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And actually, a lot of people don't even think about that. Why do you want to have children?
It's normal.
Yes.
It's just what happens.
Yes, and the reasons for in an article that I read written by Nicholas Di Domizio, he had written down the reasons for millennials that he found were: it's not financially feasible because they're struggling. For example, a lot of millennials with student loans, huge student loans, the fear of passing down mental health issues. Concern about overcrowding the earth and environmental concerns, the physical toll of childbirth, the pressure to make perfect choices, which is a millennial issue and a valid one. All of them are valid, by the way. No maternal instinct. No maternal instinct. Wouldn't oh yes, because it would interfere with their career ambitions, or it didn't fit their lifestyles.
Hey, but at least those answers make it very clear to me, at least, that they really thought about it.
Yes.
It's not like a rebel thing and no, I don't want children. It's like you really thought about this thing.
But Kamla, even if you don't really think about it, you have the freaking right to say, I don't want to have kids. You have the right to change your mind. Yes, but it is your decision.
Yeah, but I think that society thinks that it's just a thing, just a phase you're going through.
Right, that's true.
That's what I want to say. But they really thought about it. It's not like, okay, one morning I woke up and I decided no. And if that's the case, also fine. But I believe that a lot of people do think about it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And if you made a decision for yourself and you just decided no, what the heck?
Yes.
Who are we to tell you that that is not okay?
Yeah, so I encourage those women who don't want to have children to just stay strong and be open about it and say it, speak the words, see what and of course they're going to have, but they're going to have these reactions anyway.
Yeah.
So just because that's how we, I think, get used to this, right? Yeah. If you have one friend or a colleague, yes, and you understand that and you just listen to them, and then it becomes less of a taboo or a stigma. Maybe it's a stigma, like, oh, you're going to end up like a cat woman, a woman with 10 cats. Well, right. even if she ends up with 10 cats, it really doesn't matter. But I want to get back to what you said, because I think that's very interesting. That if you're talking as a woman, because women against women also, I mean, stop it. If as a woman you feel uncomfortable when somebody says, I don't want to have children, and you maybe get angry, I think that was a really good point that you made.
Yeah, there's some kind of jealousy in there, like, oh, I wish I thought about it more.
Yes.
If I could choose again, maybe I think I won't choose it again. And that's okay. I mean, hey, but acknowledge that. Just tell that instead of beating the other woman down.
Right.
Just acknowledge it. Wow, that's a very brave choice. I was never able to make that choice for myself. Could be.
Exactly.
But acknowledge it. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good one. And because then thinking about that, what about, and I feel for those women, what about those women who had a child and now regret it?
Uh-huh.
That's a big,
For the
that's an
children, even
even
more.
bigger taboo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So true. So true. Yeah. Yeah. Because we know a lot of parents who really cannot even handle themselves, let alone their children.
Oh man, yes.
Right?
I
We
work.
all know them. And
Oh yes.
it is sad. And what if they, because maybe they thought they didn't have a choice. That's the other side of the coin. Maybe they thought
Yes.
they didn't have a choice. Maybe the pressure of their family was so big and so hard that they said, okay, I'm gonna do it because otherwise they will not see me, they will not value me, they will not whatever love me. So therefore they have the children. I don't
True.
know.
Or maybe the partner. The partner
Also,
wants to have
also,
children. And,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, choices are hard. Choices are hard. But I follow your heart.
Mhm.
Follow whatever inkling you have or gut feeling you have. And if it's not for you, at least at this moment, just say no.
Yeah.
Just say no. You are perfectly fine without. Believe me. You are not born with a child. So you are perfectly fine without. And if you think inside yourself that is an addition to your life, do your thing. And if
Yeah.
you think it's not, do your thing as well.
Yes.
Really your
Exactly.
choice. Really.
Freedom. Freedom.
Yes.
But yes, absolutely. And I was interviewed a few weeks ago on a podcast.
Mhm.
This is an interesting podcast for those women who want to know more about this topic. The podcast name is A Non-Mom Happy Hour,
Uh-huh.
right? And this is a one of the themes,
Mhm.
because the podcast is meant for women who don't want to have children,
Mhm.
or who don't have children for whatever reason,
Mhm.
or for women who do have children but don't want to talk about kids, or
Mm.
just want to have an hour and not just
Not
talk
be a
about
mom.
kids, not be
Uh-huh.
a mom, right? Exactly, not be a mom, the non-moms.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it is just, and this is, I think, part of this trend that we're seeing now, that more and more women, especially millennials, who are now at the age where
Mhm.
everybody's going to ask them, where are the kids,
Mhm.
are speaking out and talking about it. So
Well,
I
they
love
first want to
podcasts.
figure out who they are. And then
Yeah,
maybe a child is also in that picture and maybe not.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think they give themselves more options now. And in the earlier days, well, at least we thought that we didn't have options. That
yeah,
was the normal thing to do. You're going to get
yes,
married, your
yes.
husband's going to work, you're going to stay home, and you're going to have children. That was the norm most of the time.
And do
And
you
the norm
think,
and the norm changed
yes,
because
thankfully.
people changed.
Yeah. So I have a question, Kamala. Do you think that we women
Mhm.
specifically, we glorify having children,
Some do, yes, for sure.
romanticize?
For sure.
I
Yeah.
think because that's also part of a small part of the problem here, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Of
Yeah, but it's the same thing with marriage. I mean, we still live in a society, and it is changing, but we still live in a society that you need a man or you need a partner in your life before you can be happy or
right.
valued or whatever. And children are also a part of that story. And
Yes.
without that, you are lesser than. And
Yes.
now I think we are breaking free, and that's also the Me Too movement and all that. Women are busy taking their power back,
Yes.
and it takes time, and
It
we
takes
need
time, but
brave women to stand up for themselves and say, you
yeah.
know what? From now on, I'm gonna make my own decisions, and that means, and if that means I don't want children, I don't want children, and you have to listen to me.
Right.
That's it. And
Yeah.
it sounds easy, but it's not. Because for
It,
decades, we didn't allow a woman to have a voice. But I would like to know the perspective from men. Because why is it the same reason, if there is a reason, for men or for women to not have children. Yes, to not have children. Or is it different? Because I looked in my circle, everybody I know has children. And I believe 2 weeks ago, I talked with a client. She's in her 40s, in a fantastic new relationship. And it just came up and I said, do you think about it? She said, no, we're perfectly fine and we're good. I said, hey, good for you.
Yes.
So I know clients who don't have children and they're fine. They're fine, perfectly fine. But the thing is, what do we think? What do we think is acceptable for women, for men, for humans? Can they own their life? And whatever that means and whatever that looks like.
Right.
And we struggle with that still. We like to put people in a box.
Yes. And
that's what we like. And now we still put people who don't want to have children in a box like, you're not normal, I don't understand you, you're crazy, what's wrong with you? That's the box we put them in, at least most of the time. And I think, let them loose, let them out of the box. And just say, oh, they're human too, but they made a different choice than I did.
Exactly. Yes, but it just seems like we've come a long way on certain issues with regards to human or women's rights, for example, and equality. But this is one of those topics that I think we still have a long way to go. And these expectations that we put on women or the standards, I think it's really something that we have to just think about how, what are some of the things that you've said or some of the things you thought, or maybe you didn't even think about it. And like, for example, I've always been very open about the fact that I definitely identify myself as a mother, but not that's not the first thing that comes to mind. And sometimes people are a little bit shocked when I say that, especially with my background and because that's what I studied, clinical child and adolescent studies. But and I work with kids, and I have 3 kids, but never that has not changed. And that was the case with me before I had children, when I had my first, second, and third child, and still feel the same way. I think I was talking about this before. I never, and so that's me. I have friends who identify themselves first as a mother, and I respect that. We should all respect each other. If this was your wish, you want to have children, if this was your dream, and you've been dreaming about this baby, and that's perfectly fine. But the thing is, it's easier for you than for women who have never had those feelings and really have the clear reasons why they don't, because they have this society that expects them to want to have children or to change their mind or think they're selfish. I think that's the most ridiculous thing that I've heard that people said to women: you're selfish.
Yeah, wow. But what about, I want children because then they can take care of me?
Take care of me. Yes. I want my bloodline to continue.
Yeah, I mean, come on, people. Yeah.
I mean, it's the opposite of selfish, I think, to decide not to have children.
No, for sure. And it's just a choice. It's just a choice.
Yeah.
And they choose different than you do, but that doesn't make them wrong or bad.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and
I would like to know the perspective of men, because
that's an interesting one.
Men look different at a woman who didn't have children than who did. I want to know.
In what way do you mean? In a romantic way, or what? For
whatever way. Just in a society, do they look at women in a different way if I tell you, I don't have children and I don't want children, and that's who I am.
Yes. Don't you
And
think,
I don't know. I don't know.
do you think that they might think like,
I think
she's
in the
not
Caribbean,
womanly?
it's still a thing. I think in the Caribbean, men, and now I exaggerate, but I think, yeah, they think like you have to produce. I think they still have that in them.
So they associate having children or wanting to have children with being feminine or maybe
Healthy, whatever.
healthy, yes, caring. Maybe
Yeah.
they, so maybe there's this
Nurturing.
I always trip over that word. Prejudice.
Yes. Yeah,
Anyway,
prejudice. Uh-huh.
prejudice. that that woman, a woman who doesn't want to have children is not warm and loving and caring, or they hate children, which is a problem for them, or and that's also something that women who decide not to have children have to fight against, right?
But a lot of Caribbean men, and
Yes, you might be right.
excuse me if I, offend any man in the Caribbean, because are not all the same. But just
No.
in general, still there are a lot of Caribbean men, especially in Curacao at least, who want to have children all over the place.
Right.
What is that about?
What is that about? Like this macho feeling
But
of,
that's all. That's only, most of the time it's only making, because taking care
yeah.
of it is something else, and a lot of them don't take the responsibility. So
Yes.
that's a whole other story, but it has something to do with that, because if I tell you, no, I don't want children, if every woman in the Caribbean would say, we're done, we're not gonna do it anymore, how would that make them feel? Less than a man? Not interested anymore in women? I would like to know that.
That is an interesting statement.
I would like to know that.
Yes, we should ask men. We should
Yeah,
have asked men.
yeah,
Yes.
we have to go in the streets and just ask. Yeah.
Right. Well, and so the question, how would you feel if your children did not have, didn't want to have
Yeah.
kids?
Yeah.
How would you feel?
For me, perfectly fine. I said to my children, I'm happy when you're happy. And if that means that you don't want children and you're happy, hey, I'm fine with it. I don't have an ambition to be a grandma whatsoever. Maybe it will come, maybe it won't, I don't know. But no, do you? Do you?
Me?
Do you? That's what I say to my children. Do you? Whatever that
Right. Do you want? Yes. Yes. Well, and with me, I think, well, because my brother doesn't have any children, and this is the thing. This is, so I wish he had. I wish he had. Yes,
Wow.
this is my thing. Because I love him, and I think, again, yes, we'll explain later, but I think he would have been a great dad. I would just, he is my brother, and I would have loved to see how he is, see him as a dad, and meet his children. I don't know. This, however, is purely selfish reasons, right? This is me. This is my dreams and my wishes, and not that it's a big dream. I mean, it's not something, but I mean, I'm being honest here. Yes. I grew up with one brother. And I love him, and I think he's a wonderful person, and that's why, selfishly, I would have loved to see him with children. But he made a decision. He and his wife decided not to have children, and it's perfectly fine. And I recognize that this is me. It's not him. There's nothing to do with him. This is me and my selfish reasons, And so I think we should be aware of that too. I don't think I ever.
Your wish that you want to put on somebody else.
Exactly. Yes. I'm allowed to have these feelings, because it's not. I don't pressure him. I don't think I ever really had a long talk about it with him. It never happened, and it would be interesting though to talk about that with him, to see if he and his wife get people, get people, have the
The
experience of
questions or the
ask
remarks.
them. Yes, yes, yes. But if it was with my own kids, no, of course not. It's their decision. Definitely will never make them feel like this is what I want. Even though, for example, if all three of my kids decided not to have kids, yes, for selfish reasons, I would say, oh, I don't know. Not right now. I'm 48, but I think I would have liked to see them raise children, just because I love them, and then I think I've experienced it, and I would have loved to see how they would be as a parent. But that's purely my selfish reasons. I would never, never, and I'm making a conscious decision also not to in any way make them feel like they should for anybody. So.
But I do know a lot of people, women especially, who really would love it. And they also talk to their children like, oh, when it's gonna come, when is my first, blah, 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 blah. I mean, and that's a thing. And I also know from the children's side, they're like, and she's still asking me, and I don't know, and I don't know what I want, but it feels like pressure.
Oh, definitely.
For all the maybe to be grandmas, back off a little.
Yes. Yes.
Off a little, because it feels like pressure, and children never want to let their parents down.
Exactly.
But that cannot be the reason to have children.
No. Please don't. No.
No. It cannot be the reason why you have children. So you can acknowledge, Mom, I fully understand you, but right now it's not for me. I'm gonna let you know what my decision will be in now, 6 months, years, 10, whatever. I'm gonna let you know. But for now,
stop asking me. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it anymore. Stop asking me.
For yourself as well.
Yeah. Because it is selfish. If you do that, it is really selfish. If you put that pressure on your children, even if you do it innocently enough,
For sure. And it's all out of love. I totally understand.
Out of love, yes. Yes.
But still, it can be very annoying.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And this is has to do with this society, our society, and our norms and values, right?
It's also respect. I have to respect your choice, whatever your choice is, and I may not understand it, and I may fully disagree with you, but I still have to respect where you're coming from. And we lost that ability. We lost it, and we have to find and take it back.
To show respect, you mean?
Yeah, show respect to yourself first, and then to the other, because we manipulated ourselves as well in very different kind of situations that we don't want to be in. But we allow people to influence so much that they take over our lives. But we are also there.
Yeah.
So we also have to respect ourselves enough to say, hold, till here, boundaries. This is my decision. I want to make up my own mind. And I can hear your opinions. I'm going to make my decision. And you can agree or disagree. I'm still going to make my decisions. And I would love for you to respect me in taking my decision.
Exactly.
But a lot of people have a very hard time to speak up for themselves.
Well, and it takes time, and because also I'm thinking when as I'm listening to you, like, okay, this is of course extremely important in all aspects of your life, right? Oh. To respect yourself and to set boundaries. It's something that we women really have to prioritize, because it affects everything, like your relationships, your relationship with your husband, with your children, with your job, everything, your whole well-being, your happiness. But with children, and the decision to have or not to have children, the thing is also that you have to also fight, I think, your own demons, right? Or demons is not the right word. Like, for example, if you grow up and especially if you grow up in a family where this is just, expected of you, and just you're growing up in a society where this is expected of you, it's really hard to come to terms with that. I think it can be. you know, where you have to really decide, no, I don't have children and I'm okay. I still feel 100% woman and with a purpose. And so I think that there's this whole, there
I'm not
could be
saying
this
it
whole
is easy.
struggle.
I'm
Right,
not,
right.
I'm not saying it's easy to respect yourself and therefore
Yeah,
love,
yeah,
but it is necessary.
absolutely, absolutely.
It is necessary. So yeah, if you find it hard to do it on your own, ask somebody. Find an accountability partner. Find a coach. Find somebody who can guide you, coach you, talk with you, listen to you,
Yes,
be a mirror for you, and just figure it out. You're gonna figure it out along the way. So give
yeah,
yourself time, be patient, be loving to yourself. You will figure it out.
you will.
And I always say,
Absolutely.
whatever decision you make, it's always the good one.
Yeah,
It always is. And you can always change your mind. So maybe you said yesterday, I don't want children. Maybe you meet the guy tomorrow and you're going to say, hallelujah, this is the guy I'm going to have children with. Don't be ashamed about it. Just say, I changed my mind.
you have the
I'm
right
gonna
to
have
change your
children
mind.
now. And it's
Absolutely.
perfectly fine. And the other
Yes,
way around, it's the same thing. I always wanted children, and now you're in your late 40s and say, you know what? No, it's not
I know.
necessary anymore. It's okay. I'm fine. I'm good.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
Mhm. It all starts with you. It
It
all
all
starts
ends and
with you.
starts with you.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so true. Okay, nice.
Yes, that's a perfect ending to
I
this
think
podcast,
so.
I
I
think.
think so,
Yeah.
yeah. We would love to hear
Self-respect.
from the men. So, men, and please, women,
Yes.
if you have men, and of course you have brothers, you have colleagues, you have partners, you have whatever boyfriends, ask them what is their opinion. With this podcast, we also want you to have more communication with other people, loved
Yes.
ones, strangers, whoever, and just be curious about, how do they look at this? And when I
Yes.
say this, how does that make them feel? Because so this is how we get to know each other, and
Mhm.
also the ability to respect each other's opinions, agreements, disagreements, whatever it is. So
Mhm.
it's very important to just talk and especially listen. We
Right.
don't listen enough these days.
That's true. That is true. And be open, right? Be
Yeah.
open and also be honest about, well, what do you think about women who say, I don't want to have kids? What's coming up? What kind of
What is
feeling
the
comes
first
up
reaction
there?
you get? And maybe it's like,
Yes.
oh, crazy.
Yeah.
Why? And then ask yourself, okay, but why do I think?
Why do I feel that way?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And listen to them and
Yeah.
listen what they're saying.
And
And
figure it out. And what does resonate with you and what doesn't resonate with you. And
yeah,
there's no good and there's no bad.
yeah,
Everything is okay for everybody in every different way. But
yes.
but be open indeed and be curious.
That's it.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up, Nicole.
That
We're
is the
gonna see, hear, listen, whatever the next week. We're
next
gonna
week.
have a fantastic topic again. I know a few.
Oh, good. Good. Let me know.
Thanks for
Uh,
listening. Like,
thank
share, please do. Leave a comment if you want. And we hope that you will tune in next week.
Absolutely. See you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.